masking and frame size are more connected than most people realize. And if you don't understand how they affect each other, things can get confusing fast. In this video, I will break down that relationship and show you how to work with it, not against it. Okay, so let's head to the computer and let us see a few examples. First thing first, we want to know the size of our project. If by any means you started without setting the size, or you forgot to set the size, or you don't know what size your project is, you could always head to the settings and you could check out your timeline resolution, which is the size of your project. Okay, so as you can see here, mine is 3840 by 2160, basically 4K. Okay, so this is the first thing you want to know. So we are going to head to effects, and I'm just going to use adjustment clip to showcase this example. Okay, so I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to select adjustment clip, and we are going to head to Fusion. So now we are in Fusion. If you look at the Canva here, it says the size as well. It says 3840 by 2160. Okay, so this is the size of our project. But I like to use the background just because I'm able to have a clean Canva with no colors attached to it. Okay, but it's the same thing. All right, so I'm just going to reduce the alpha of the background to 0 so that we could have these background like here. It's just a preference. Okay, so now we know the size of our project. We know the size of our Canva here. So if I bring an image here and put it here, let's put this image here. Or let's also attach this image to the workflow. Okay, so the image is also 3840 by 2160. So okay, so it fills up the size. So you already know what masks do. A mask is just going to select a few areas of the entire screen. So let's just attach a mask. The default is going to be in the center. All right, we're going to leave the coordinates or the center like this. So the size is 4K. And what happens if we go and change the settings while we've already set up the mask like this? Well, let's go and try it. So if we head to settings right now, and if we change, let's change it to a regular HD. 4K is like twice the size of a regular HD. So if you look at the Canva now, as you can see, the circles are bigger than the Canva because the size is relative to 4K already. So when we reduce the size, now the mask is bigger than the Canva. So if you click the merge is going to show you the size of the 4K. As you can see, the Canva is right here. Okay, so the sizes are relative. So let's head back to 4K. Okay, so now we're back to 4K and we're back to the regular size. This is why the size of the project is very important. If you're new, you might run into some of these problems that I'm about to talk about right now. So when you see me pop out on the screen, this is how I do it, or this is the problem or the challenges you might face. Okay, so right now, so what if I'm trying to reduce the size of this entire image, and I want to maybe change the sentence? I want to change where this is placed at. If I simply head to the mask and reduce it, we are simply reducing the surface area. If I move it around, I'm simply moving around the images. Okay. But that's not what I want. I simply want to reduce this entire image to one side. So what I could do is I could simply hit transform node and reduce it. The thing is, you have to know where to place the transform node. Okay, so now if I place it down here, now that works. Okay, but let's say I had a background color and I place this transform node here. Now that transform node is going to affect both the background and the mask. So placing the transform node at the right place also matters a lot. Okay, Or what if I have a small image and I want to scale up the small image? As a matter of fact, let's bring down a small image right now. Let's add that image. Okay, so now this image is pretty small. So what if I'm trying to scale the image up? Because if I want to mask this, it's too small. So what if I want to scale it up so that it could take maybe a lot more space? All right, so we are first going to scale up that image first by using transform again. We could scale that image up, something like this, before we mask it. Okay, we could mask the merge instead. Okay, bam. We've increased the image, then we mask the merge. But with this one, it can get tricky if you want to move it to the left side or to the right side. But you could try to make it smaller here and okay, so this one could be tricky because remember, if I put the transform here, we are going to affect everything behind it because everything behind it is connected as a background. So if I reduce it here, we are reducing everything. All right. So that needs to be rearranged. Okay. So we want to make sure this merge is not connected to the main background. In order to do that, we have to introduce a background and remove the alpha. So now we are going to introduce an empty canvas here. We're going to remove those setups and we're going to try to set up in another way. So we're going to introduce an empty canvas. It's empty. So if I fill this up, it's going to be black. Remember, the eclipse is still attached to it. We could remove the mask here. And now that's just a background, all right? So I'm going to remove the alpha. Okay, so now it's just an empty canvas. And let's just attach that media that we introduced, that small image. So I'm just going to introduce this. All right. So this is that media. It's still small. So I'm going to use the same transform that I used. And we're going to include that here. So I'm holding shift and simply put in the middle, and that will simply attach itself and join the workflow. We are achieving the same thing but different setups. That way we can still have this merge as a foreground. So instead of attaching this eclipse to this merge, I'm going to attach it to merge 3. We still have the same result. We can now attach another transform here. So this transform here is now going to affect everything that is the background to it. Okay, remember the yellow lines are background, the green lines are the foreground. So now the transform, anything that is attached to it as a background is going to be affected now. And it is a foreground to this merge. Yeah, so now we now have the options to change this, and it's not going to affect just those circles, and we can now adjust this anyhow we want, and we can move it any way we want as well. Okay, so this is how you could rearrange stuff to make it fit. It's basically trying to get the logic of the backgrounds, the foregrounds, and the mask. Once you get those logic, now you can set it up in a way that you can manipulate those images. All right, any effect that you want to have, you want the background to connect to that effect. This is why we usually introduce an empty canvas so that we could have a different background. Let's say if I bring down another transform and put it here, as you can see, everything here is connected to it from the background. So now if I change anything here, everything is affected. All right. If I take this transform now, let's space this out. Let's say I connected this to transform here. It's going to affect everything except this image right here to the right, simply because the image to the right is not connected to the transform. Everything here is connected to this transform. The background is connected because it's transferring from here to here to here. And everything here is also connected to this because everything is going from here to here to here. And connecting to the transform. So if I reduce it, it's reducing everything except the image on the right, because the image on the right is right here. Everything here makes up the image on the right side. Okay. I mean, this one is a bit more complicated, but once you get the hang of it, you get it. So guys, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.